The dust has started to settle, and it's beginning to look like the Flames may have actually made out like bandits.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Today, we are going to dissect the trade involving Andrei Kuzmenko and Jacob Pelletier some more, because we've had a little bit of time to process it. It's been about 18 hours, so I think we've all taken a few deep breaths, read the goodbye posts, and looked into Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee some more to see just what the Flames are actually getting. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And let's dive right into this. Did the Flames actually make out like bandits? Potentially. I feel like there's, I don't want to say low risk, high reward situation here, but it feels like this is what Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee needed. And ultimately, Conroy said it himself, in order to get players, you have to give up players. And this could be something great. But this whole thing transpired because the Flyers wanted to bring in Kuzmenko for Michkov. They had a couple phone calls throughout the day, and transpired and eventually blossomed into something. So Michkov and Kuzmenko played together in the KHL, and it, you do whatever you can to get your young guy going, especially a player that is, the third overall pick. And it feels and it sounds and it looks like Michkov is already kind of bumping heads with Tortorella, which I think is going to be an interesting aspect to this, because Kuzmenko is a big personality as well, and we know how he plays and has played this season. So could we see some more yelling on the bench from Tortorella? Probably. I feel like this was an easy ask for the Flames. Kuzmenko didn't really have much value. It was reported that he was likely going to go on waivers last week, but he ended up finding his game again for this short period of time. And then, this happened. And it works out for the Flames, because at the end of the day, you do get two good players. It stinks that it didn't necessarily work out here for towards the end here for Kuzmenko, but there was never a world where they were going to re-sign him. And I think what made that even more clear was his struggles this season, but as well as, this is just me spitballing here, seeing how Sharangovich struggled after signing that 5-year extension. I think they wanted to kind of pump the brakes a little bit before jumping the gun on another extension. But realistically, they knew he was never going to sign here. But what else did the Flyers want? Because I'm sorry, you can't just go best friend shopping prior to the trade deadline for your players. They're not a bonded pair. Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost may actually be a bonded pair. I'm kind of convinced that they might be. But the Flyers, obviously, they need to get something else. They can't just get a guy who was going to be placed on waivers last week. They are a young, rebuilding team, and Jacob Pelletier has been on fire. And they see his resiliency, his commitment to being the best NHL player that he can be, and they saw how he took his lumps and went down on waivers, and they know that he is a bright character in the locker room, and sometimes you just need that. You need, and he's good on the penalty kill, has found his offense, great bottom six player at the moment, middle six depending on the team, but getting a young player that you still have team control over because he's an RFA at the end of this season, it was a mutually beneficial deal. I don't think that Craig Conroy got fleeced. I don't think that Philly got fleeced. People on fans on both sides like understand why it happened and have kind of just accepted it. I haven't really seen anyone up in arms that like, oh, that was it, or oh my god, they had to give all that for those two players. Like, we're going to talk about it next, but Morgan Frost, his name was involved in trade conversations for years. I feel like every single off season or approaching the trade deadline for the last at least 3 or 4 years, we have heard his name be brought up. Is Morgan Frost on the move? Does Morgan Frost need to change of scenery? Is Morgan Frost on his way out of Philadelphia? It was like that. I really did not expect Joel Farabee to be involved in this, but the Flames, we will take what we can get right now in terms of offensive production and two established NHL players. But coming up next, we are going to look at the potential risk that comes along with trading for these two players here on Locked On Flames. Are you looking for tickets to your next big event, whether it's a concert, comedy show, or a sports game? Finding the right tickets at the right price can absolutely be a headache. But with Game Time Picks, it has never been easier, and let me tell you how it works. With Game Time Picks, the app does all of the hard work for you. It curates the best deals so you don't have to waste your time searching through endless ticket listings. I have used Game Time Picks 2 or 3 times this hockey season. The last time I used it was when I saw the Flames up in Montreal, and I was in and out of the app in 5 minutes max. I needed 3 seats at a good price at the side where the Flames shot twice. And guess what? I got it. A great deal. The curated deals make it super simple to find great tickets and at a great price, no sifting through thousands of options. And the best part, you're covered with Game Time's lowest price guarantee. If you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll refund you 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something comes up. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jess Belmosto. As I mentioned before, this is a good deal for the Flames. I mean, ultimately, you're getting 2 established NHL players in the age range you want, and they're not just wingers. Joel Farabee's a winger, but Morgan Frost is a center. Morgan Frost checks off every box except being a right-handed shot, which is fine. It is doable. It is workable. And Conroy made that clear. Like, he knows that those don't come up very often, and if they do, they come at a high price. But it made sense for Morgan Frost to be traded and to be on the Flames radar. He is an RFA at the end of the year. He's still young. He's 24, and he has team control. I would honestly have to argue that this is I don't want to say the better of the two players, but this is the more enticing and attractive part of the trade for me personally, because you are getting a center. What have the Flames lacked? Center depth. What are they fixing? The lack of center depth. And he spoke with Eric Francis on the phone this afternoon, and just said that him and Joel are really excited to be here, and be in the mix, be with a team that's going to be in the mix of things, and they both want to be in the playoffs so bad. That's great. I know that that's kind of like a very generic thing that a lot of players say, but I feel like two hungry players coming from a place where they desperately needed that change of scenery into an environment that the Flames have cultivated and really supported every player, whether it is, a young guy like Dustin Wolf or a veteran like Oliver Shillington last year. They do what they can to accommodate everyone and make sure everyone's needs are met. But it is a welcoming environment, and I think that that's attractive. I don't know. People say, "Oh, it's Conroy's Country Club," but I don't think so. If it was Conroy's Country Club, he wouldn't have traded away Jacob Pelletier last night. But this is good. It is good. He, like I mentioned, he's an RFA at the end of the year and then a UFA the year after. So if you can kind of stretch, I don't think you're just going to sign him to a 1-year deal. If that's the case, I think you're probably going to do, 3 or 4. But I like this signing a lot. Joel Farabee, however, does come with more of a risk. He has 3 years left. He's under contract until 2028 at $5 million a year. That is a little more daunting. He only has 8 goals on the season. His production has been down. He just has not been producing. And I think this is a situation where you need a change of scenery. Not everyone is going to acclimate and succeed under a certain coaching style. And I think that, when you're already struggling and you're not getting your footing underneath you and you have a coach that is a little more old-fashioned and rides the bench harder, that's added stress that could just lead to more distraction. And no one is harder on themselves than themselves. So I'm sure that this is going to be a topic of conversation, especially if things start off hot and then he plateaus, or if he doesn't get anything going at all at first. But at the end of the day, not everyone is going to come in to their new team and be like Andrei Kuzmenko last year, who scored like 3 power play goals in the first 5 games, or like 5 periods of play. I don't think that this is necessarily as bad of a risk as it sounds. $5 million is a daunting number. And what I'm going to say next sounds crazy, but in the grand scheme of things, over the cap increases, it's not that much money. Now, I would love $5 million. That would be a life-changing amount of money to me. However, it is not that much in the salary cap when it goes up to $110 million, allegedly. It is a chunk of money. And I don't even, like, it sounds more daunting now because, obviously the cap did go up, but not, and I would say it went up enough for me to be like, okay, $5 million for a winger. Like, it didn't make Mangiapane's contract look as bad as it was. It was doable. But personally, I think that they can't get in the habit of taking these contracts, because then you're doing work and then undoing it. You're getting younger players, but you're taking on these bad contracts and you're just getting in a cycle. I use bad contracts very lightly, but say, I don't even know, say Bobrovsky falls off a cliff. The Flames don't need another goaltender, but they take on that $10 million cap hit or $8 million cap, whatever it is. That's going to eat up a chunk of it. And then especially when you need to re-sign players that know that the cap is going up, are fully aware of what their value will be worth, it is a little trickier. And I think that the Flames are fully aware of how to navigate this and how to stay out of these sticky situations. He did not retain any salary on Kuzmenko, which is great. That was potentially a cause for concern, but it worked out. And I think that with these two young players, you are getting something. You're getting something you did not have before for a cheap price. Also, Ryan Leslie said on the Real Kuiper and Bourne show that he doesn't think Conroy's done. He brought up how the Flames have a lot of cap space and Conroy's interest in Mikko Rantanen. He also confirmed that Rasmus Andersson doesn't want to go anywhere. The contract will be done. It's all about timing. Well, I guess that's a great segue into our to our break. But yeah, I think it's worth the risk. I think it is a decent risk, high reward situation here. I'm not gonna write something off before it happens. Now, if it were, if another team was coming in, I'll just use the Blue Jackets because I know they have a lot of cap space. If the Blue Jackets were coming in to take the $10.5 million contract for Jonathan Huberdeau, for them, that is a high risk situation. It is not like that here. I think that it's a fair payoff. And coming up next, we are going to hear and talk about the player, or hear from the players themselves, and just what might be up their sleeves here on Locked On Flames. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. So the big question is always, what numbers are they going to wear? Joel Farabee is getting Rory Curran's 86. Kind of a bummer. I really liked 86 on Curran's, but I'm not going to. That's fine. Curran's is switching to 6, and Morgan Frost is going to 16. Always fun to kind of see players come in, and a lot of times they just get tossed a number, or it's their rookie number that they stick with, but they kind of have more choice. Kind of fun. But Wes Gilbertson spoke with Joel Farabee and Morgan. Yeah, it looks like he spoke, with Joel Farabee, and had some things to say. And I think that this is good. So shout out to Wes Gilbertson for transcribing your interview. So Joel Farabee says, Frost is definitely one of my best buddies. I think having him do this whole thing with me is going to be great. I think I can speak for him too. We're excited for a fresh start just to get on the ice and prove what we can do. I think that's a big part of this too, right? They're coming in here, like, they're best friends. From all the Flyers fans that I've talked to, like, they are a bonded pair. They are truly, like, things probably would not go well if you traded just for one of them. So this is cool. I like this. I like that you're able to come in. You have a pre-established relationship with the teammate, the guy he came over with. And I'm not sure who else they might know in the room, but this is cool. I think that the Flames also always provide a welcoming environment. And the comment about they just want to prove what they can do. This team has that underdog mentality. That is the fire that fuels them. Proving everyone wrong, proving the doubters wrong, and just proving themselves. They are good players. And I think that that's huge. And that's a ginormous motivating factor for players. And then he continues, he says, Morgan Frost has so much untapped potential. I think just his skill and his playmaking abilities up the middle is something you don't really get in the NHL. I think his vision, if you get him the right wingers, is very special. I love that. Please give me more players that can do that have the playmaking abilities. Flames have strong wingers. So let's go. I want to see what they have cooking and what things might look like, because this is going to be special. I have a feeling. And with the Flames getting a young center that has the ability to work, that like the untapped potential here is huge. And I think that that is something that we need to be patient with as well. Again, coming over from literally across the continent into another time zone, probably living at a hotel for the time being. You got to get adjusted. You got to get acclimated. The altitude, I don't know how they'll react to that. I mean, I was fine, but walking in Banff through that trail, no, that was a lot. But in all seriousness, I think that this is huge. I think that this is something that will truly benefit the Flames' current vision, like currently and down the road. And ultimately, those were the trades you want to make, because it's not about winning right now. It is about building a team that can win. And they're adding good pieces. It absolutely stinks to see Jacob Pelletier go. I wish nothing but the best for him and Kuzmenko in the Flyers organization. But a new chapter is starting here in Calgary, and I think it's going to be good. I don't want to write anything off. I think we should all just be level-headed about this and think about, you wanted the Flames to make a change. They did. And like I said earlier, in order to get players, you have to give players up. And based on what Ryan Leslie was saying, you're probably going to have to give up some more players. So there are two untouchables on this team, and it's Dustin Wolf and Zane Perry. Connor Zary is like halfway there. You wouldn't trade for him right now anyways, because he's out on injury. But those are the players, unless you have like no move clause and things like that. But those are the three players that are off limits. I would honestly laugh if I was Craig Conroy and someone asked about that. Any of those players, but I'm hopeful. I am a little not feeling too great about the Rasmus Andersson extension, but we don't know what it's going to look like. It's all about the timing. And, we can't always hit it out of the park. I love Rasmus Andersson. I think that he is a great member of this organization. He is the heartbeat along with Mackenzie Weegar. But I do worry that he's going to be 29 years old. So how long can he keep playing at the level that he's playing at? Just something to think about. Make sure you are following us on YouTube and you have your notifications on as well. I noticed that on my personal page, I didn't The notifications got switched off. But that will do it for me here today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. A 5-star rating and a nice little review would also go a long way. I will see you all on Monday, or maybe potentially over the weekend if some breaking news happens. Stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay cool, stay hydrated, and remember to be kind.